Hey everybody, it's Greg LaBeouf. Hey, listen, welcome to another episode of Awaken, the ProtectR Within. Thank you so much for joining us and listening in on today's podcast. I got something that I think is very special. It's something that is very powerful that I have gone through a few different times in my life, but if you're like me, there has, I'm sure, been lessons in your life that you have learned, and then a number of years later, you had to relearn them. It's not that we completely forgot them, but we have something come in or something happen to us or something comes into our life where it reminds us, it gives us a clarity again. It brings it back to conscious awareness. And this morning, I'm just sitting here reflecting before I dive into the work that I have to do today. And during my reflection, I just remembered something and I started to feel it very powerfully. And I wanted to share that with you. And it is about weight. It is about loss. I'm going to do my very best. I have a lot of thoughts going through my head. I'm going to do my very best to have one clear message to you. But not all weights that we carry in our life build us up. Matter of fact, there are some weight and some weights that we carry that tear us down. So the big question was this: what do good people do when a society's laws and institutions fail to keep them safe from aggression and violence? How do you get through a growing number of angry, hateful, aggressive people and still remain physically, mentally, and emotionally strong and positive? That was the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name is Greg LaBeouf, and welcome to Awaken, the ProtectR Within. Okay, I said that there are some weights that don't build us up. You see, many of our struggles in life, they're meant to be our struggles. Struggle is how we grow. It's how we change. It's like and you've heard this so many different times and from, I'm sure, so many different places. And intellectually, I know we all understand that struggle is good for us. Even if we can't see it in the moment, struggling is good for us. And at the end of the day, it builds our capacity. So when we take on struggles and we do things that are hard, and if it's hard to do, then do it hard. You know what I mean? Then put in that work, because that struggle increases our capacity. It increases our capacity to handle greater struggles. It is what prepares us for the new challenges. It's actually what is going to give you your greatest successes, is because you went through some of your greatest hardships, some of your greatest struggles, and that increased your capacity. That is, in fact, what allows you to excel and what allows you to succeed. For me, when it comes to understanding violence and aggression, to be able to change and help so many people in this world, it was one of my greatest struggles. It was to be 100% physically, mentally, emotionally dominated and victimized, broken. That was a painful struggle. That was that was a tough road to recover from and to go through. But I would never change that. That was a struggle that increased my capacity. But there's something that I've also learned that over the years that this is what I really want to focus in. This is what I started reflecting on again today. And this actually happened for me again in the last year, that it was just so profound. And I remember thinking, man, I've already learned this lesson. Why do I have to keep relearning this lesson? But I don't think it's just relearning it. I think it's constantly bringing it back into your conscious awareness, because there's that much value in it. And what I'm talking about is this: the weight of struggle increases our capacity, but there's a weight that breaks us down, that holds us back. And until you become aware of it, you can never be free. And that weight that I'm talking about is the fear of loss. And I don't know, everyone could put the different word to that. It's the fear of loss. It's the fear of failure, whatever it is. But let me try to just really clarify what I mean with this. I'll go back. Even when I was victimized, when I was really working to come back from that, what was funny about that is I said that I was broken physically, mentally, and emotionally. Like you've lost everything about who you are. Your identity is shattered. Like you're all of this thing is there. Yet, I still remember being scared that there was more to lose. And I'm not just talking about like my physical life when it comes to violence and aggression. I mean like there's more to lose. Like there's more of your personality that you can lose, that there's more of your emotional health and well-being that you can lose. No matter how broken you are, like you get to this point where you're like, there's almost a desperation. But one of the things that keeps us going is there's still like this hope, there's this faith, there's this, in some area of your life, there's a feeling that, there's still something left in you. And then we fear losing that. Okay, now let me jump forward and maybe hopefully make this even clearer. But about a year ago, lately in the last 3 years, I've really been zeroing in on the business because my mission has grown. I want to help as many people in this world as I possibly can. I just want to serve more and more people. And as I really went to say, okay, I'm gonna grow my business, which is not something that I've ever really was obsessed with before. It was a very personal journey. It's something that I did because I needed it. And it was something that as my life crossed paths with other people, where I could help out and the ways that I could help them, that's what I wanted to do. But then I had a shift and I thought, you know what? This I just want to change the world. And so I thought I'm going to zero in on the business and I'm going to grow this business. And what I realized, I said about 3 years ago, what I realized about a year ago is that I was finding it hard to grow beyond a certain point. I was finding it hard to really make the impact that I wanted in this world. And, I remember one night, as I often do, I woke up middle of the night. I dream about my work. I dream about my training. It's 24/7 for me. It's my passion. But I woke up one night and I remember coming downstairs so I wouldn't wake everybody else up. I remember sitting in the dark on my couch. And I remember thinking, what is it that's holding me back? But I had this vision. I was afraid. I was afraid of losing certain things. And it just became crystal clear to me that personally, I was afraid of putting myself out in a way in the world where you were going to be open to criticism. And not just like people are going to critique you, but what happens when people reject us? What happens when people criticize us? What happens when we don't feel love? It's the same thing that happens when a relationship ends. It happens in anything, but we feel like we lose something. We lose who we are. Our image of us being valuable or us being lovable or us being likable or us being competent or good or whatever it was. And I just really felt in that moment that I had this tremendous fear that I would lose that if somebody didn't like what I had to say, or if somebody disagreed with me, or if somebody just plain out hated me or anything like that I was going to lose this stuff. I was going to lose that personal part of my self-image and my emotion, like I said, my acceptance and all that stuff. Then the other thing I realized was that the risk that I had to take, I've been taking the risk for 25 years. I've been running my own business. There's always a risk to that. To all of a sudden now expand bigger than than my comfort zone, than where I was operating. To expand bigger was going to require a different financial risk. And that financial risk now, when I started this, it was just me. But now I had the financial risk meant including my family in that risk, my wife and my 2 daughters into that risk. And then I had all these fears, and it became clear that I was afraid of losing what? Like afraid of losing my house if I risked too much financially, afraid of losing, the respect, maybe that if I risked this and failed, then would my wife no longer see me as a provider? Would my daughters no longer see me or as, having the ability to provide for them? What would my family think? What would my friends think? All of a sudden there was all these fears became crystal clear to me. So there was that side of it. And as I sat there and I thought about these things, it's just like I said, it was this moment of clarity where I realized that, when I look back to when I was training and when I had to overcome the victimization, I'll tell you something. There's no training in the world. There's no mentorship in the world. There's nothing in this world that could have got me back to finding my confidence, to finding a sense of who I was, to rebuilding, repairing, and moving forward. All of the training and all those things could only have ever taken me so far. The thing that I had to do was to let go of the fear of losing whatever was left. And that's a scary thing. And maybe some of you are in that position. I can feel the emotion in me right now where you've already suffered loss. You're already hurting. You're hurting physically, you're hurting mentally, you're hurting emotionally, you're hurting in all those areas. And it's like when we hurt like that and when we've already lost, we go into this scarcity mindset and then we hang on even tighter to whatever's left because we think, God, if I lose what's left, I'm done. But the reality is that for me to get to it, to get past my victimization, I had to let go of all that. I had to let go of the fear. I realized, and I learned through my training that when I was sparring or training or competing like physically, like training with someone, the thing that I feared happening the most, if I focused on that, I actually manifested that. So when I feared getting hit, when I feared, something like that happening, I ended up creating that because it caused hesitation in me. It caused me to hold back. It caused me to not go all in. And I realized that I had created. So pain, pain taught me that you can't fear it. You have to let go of it. And at the end of the day, even if what I was worried about happened, I just let go of it. I committed. I went all in. It was never as bad as I thought it was. The result was never what my mind had created it to be. And all of a sudden I realized, wow, you know what? Even when I lose, even when I failed in my training and I got some pain, the pain was never as bad as what I thought it was. But the times that I operated out of fear, the times that I didn't want to lose, the times that I operated out of scarcity, the pain was there. I manifested. I actually created the thing that I was worried about, and it hurt. It hurt every bit as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was worse. And so if you come forward that night when I sat up and I had this clear vision, I was able to actually go through this and say, if I put myself out there and people, not everyone's going to like me. And if people don't agree with what I say, or worse even almost for me was if I find somebody that's in pain and suffering and I can't help them, I can't get the result for them. I can't bridge over to them and help them. I can't move them off the X. I started to realize that actually caused me more pain, because that would be me saying, you're not who you thought you were. You can't help everybody and stuff. But I realized when I sat there and realized that was what I was fearing, that fear was holding me back from helping all these potentially helping all these people, that at the end of the day, even if I found someone that's in pain and suffering and I wasn't the one and I couldn't help them, that it didn't change who I was, that it wouldn't change what I was trying to do for people. And so that fear, I had to let go of that fear, because if I held on to that fear, it was a weight that was holding me back, and I knew that there would be hundreds, if not thousands of people that I would never help. You see, and then when it came to just something more tangible, like the fear of risking, my financial stability, risking to, the financial stability of my family or for my daughters. And I realized that, what is the worst that happens? If I took a financial risk to try to be of service to other people and to grow and expand and to do something that I'm passionate about, and what if I did, have a financial disaster? What if I did lose my house? I was so, the fear in me realized that if I was to lose the house, that I would be like, that it meant losing my family. It felt like it would be like getting news that one of your children is dying, diagnosed with terminal disease. Like it felt, and then I realized that, what? I've been risking everything for 25 years. And even if I lost everything financially, the thing that they could never take from me is who I am. They couldn't take, my wife would still love me. My kids would still love me. Matter of fact, my wife and my kids would have more respect for me because I was willing to risk everything to help other people, to follow a passion. As a matter of fact, that was the greatest gift I could give my kids, was to show them that life is more than just the material things. Our real safety, our real security, our real passion comes from contribution in this world, comes from our connection and our love, not the things around us. But it was so liberating. I remember feeling this weight come off me. And since that night, since having that, relearning that, having that reawakening, it was like business has never been better. I've never had a better connection. I've never been it's the anxiety, stress that comes with business and life and everything else has never been lighter. And, it's just this morning, again, I was just reflecting it. This is the thoughts that came to my head. And I thought, man, I got to jump on and share this. But I know for a lot of us, when we are hurting, when we have suffered a loss, I don't care if it's in a relationship or if it's in your career or if it's, just through interaction with people, the way they're treating you, the way you've been treated, deserve has nothing to do with any of that stuff. But this is all part of life, and our struggles build our capacity. It's true. But look at what you're fearing. Look at what you're fearing. Because what you fear, I guarantee, your mind has made it out worse than what the reality of it all is. And the truth is that even though we may lose things, even though we may have lost people in our lives through relationship, even though we may lose things financially, may lose, tangible things, the reality is that our fear of losing this stuff and what that would mean to us and what other people would think of us, that fear is such a weight that just is holding us back. It causes us to live in scarcity. And you cannot live in scarcity and truly, find fulfillment and happiness. It comes when we get past that. It doesn't come from getting what it is we're after. Your true fulfillment and happiness won't come from getting, for me, it didn't come from learning the skill sets, from understanding aggression and violence, from, physically knowing that I could now defend myself. That's not what gave me happiness and fulfillment. That is not what got me back from victimization. Those are just elements of it. Like those are some features of it. But what got me was when I stopped living in fear of losing what was left. That's what gave me fulfillment. That was what was the greatest weight off me in business. The thing that gives me the most fulfillment and happiness is having shed the weight, broken the chain to the weight of the fear of losing everything, of not being able to help everybody. It's not going to work that way. But just to truly get past not worrying about that stuff and just contribute and just live my life and not worry about those things and know that and if bad things happen, it's going to happen, that it's okay. You know what I mean? Then you can truly get back to these are just the struggles. These struggles will increase my capacity. Hopefully I'm really making this part of it clear. But yeah, the things that we fear, at the end of a relationship, the things that we fear in the struggles in our business and our careers and just any of it, the things we fear as parents for our kids, it's a hidden weight. And it's different than just going through struggle and knowing that our struggles build our capacity. We hold on to these fears. And these fears are they're like an albatross. I mean, they're a weight that just is burying us. It's time to cut and break the chains of our fear and let that go and know that yes, some of the things that you fear may actually happen. But I guarantee you that when you focus on, when you hold your fear, when you hide your fear, when you suppress your fear, you will create those things. And when they happen that way, they will be worse. They will be more intense. They will be everything that your mind is worried about. You'll create it. Whereas if you let go of that fear, it may still happen. Some of those things may still happen, but they won't be as bad. Nowhere near as bad. You will manage it. You will say to yourself, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Matter of fact, I can't believe all that energy that went into fearing that. And here it is. When I just let that go, here it is happens. It wasn't the monster I made it out to be in my mind. And yeah, sometimes some of it sucks, but it won't be the same way. I promise you that. And here's the other thing, the final thing that I'll tell you. That when you let go of the fear, just let go of it. And stop worrying about it. Let go of it. Just ignore it. It may happen, but let go of it. When you let go of it, amazing things happen because you're not restricted. That is when you start going all in. That is when you start to ignite your passion. That is when you will find or draw to yourself a relationship that you couldn't even have fathomed would have happened to you and found you. Something so great. That is when your career, your business, your relationship with your kids, that is when everything goes to levels that you just dared to dream about. That's when you hit phenomenal. But we've got to cut that weight and drop the fear. All right, everybody. I hope that made sense. This was a lot of thoughts in my head. This is a big subject, but I just wanted to share it. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for supporting. Share this with somebody that may need this. Please, on iTunes, find us, subscribe, rate us, help us spread the message. And that's it, everybody. Until next time, as always, please stay safe, stay ready. Remember, getting off that X is only one step away. Want to awaken your protector within? If so, then head to awakentheprotectorwithin.ca and get your free Off the X training today.